All right. Hello. It's me, Gilbert, with HPDS. I'm going to go ahead and continue working on the Algorand application that I have here, working with the AlgoDroids creation here. So let's go ahead and get started. And what I'll be working on, I did about a half hour the other night where I kind of went into the Algorand docs here and kind of read through some of this get started and talked a little bit about the REST APIs and the accounts, getting details from these accounts right over here to these overview. I don't know exactly. I can't remember. I just gave a quick overview, but so tonight I'll actually be getting into some code. So here we have a dashboard where, of course, what I want to do on this particular app is um, ultimately there's going to be like a gallery of um, of assets here. Let's get rid of that you will be able to purchase using Algorand, and these assets will ultimately end up uh, controlling based off of the assets that you own. You'll be able to play a video game, and the video game, that's all to come later on. But you'll be able to have characters or weapons or items. It's yet to be decided, but that is the goal, is to make some sort of video game where you can come to the gallery here, make purchases, and then go to a section where you play the video game, and based off of your purchases, things will change. So in order to get something like that going, we have to connect to the Algorand accounts. And there are things such as if you remember, we went into the Algorand accounts over here into these creation methods, and there's the wallet derived, which you need the key management daemon, and you need that. It runs on Algorand nodes. So it says right here, if you are using a third party API service, this process likely will not be available to you. And let's go ahead and open this link up in this next page because I am using a third party system. I will be using, I think it's called Pure State API. So it only gives you access to the the AlgoD RESTful interface, for example. And so it'll allow me to, search through these accounts, but I can't quite get a hold of the wallet derived accounts, which is, if you know anything about like the Algorand wallet and some of these other websites that actually use Algorand, they may connect to this wallet system, but you really need the KMD. So you need to be running a node, and I am not running a node. I'm using a third party system. So I'll be doing that with what is known as the standalone account. So right here is wallet derived, and then we have it tells you why you might want to use it and why you might not want to use it. And so it does say, running and storing keys on a disk, meaning that's the node, and I'm not going to be doing that. So it says standalone solutions may be a better. So let's go to the standalone accounts. That's what I'm going to be working with. And so here's some code right here. It tells you how to generate a standalone account. And yeah, we'll be using JavaScript. I could pretty much use this right here. You'll see that. Let's go to the code. Let me pull up some code and start showing you how this could be used. Okay, so here is some code. I don't remember what I have. I had worked on this a while back. This checks a balance. And I think I had also done. Let's see. I hope I don't show too much information. So we have this. This was the address, and I don't remember where I actually. Well, I had done a test offline, and I can't remember. Maybe I deleted it. So hopefully, I probably deleted it. I think I might have deleted it, which is great. So I don't have to show any information that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, and what I'll do is I'll create a new. I don't know. Let me see. How should we start with this? Let me think about how I should approach this. Keep in mind, I actually haven't come up with a plan. I've just been winging it as I go. So let's take a look. Let's just go ahead and start a new. What is this? Does this console's out some work? Okay, so let me go back to this code and let's decipher what this code does before we figure out. So you'll see where it says constant algo SDK require algo SDK. So this is the node portion, importing the algo SDK. And then it creates a function right here called generate Algorand key pair. Let account, and you'll see that this, okay, so this is a function that actually generates an Algorand key pair. So it returns and it does it. So that's not really what I want to do right now. I don't want to generate an account and then just log a passphrase. Well, I guess I will. You know what? I'll go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and see how this works. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to just go ahead and copy the function. And we're going to go back to this code. And let's just show a demonstration of what may happen. Okay, so let's go and start a new API page. So, okay, we're going to go to, you'll see right here where we got API. So this is part of the Next framework. So this is not really Algorand. This is, you have to understand Next to know what I'm going to be doing here. So in the API, I'm just going to go ahead and start a new file. And this new file, I'm going to go ahead and call it, let's go ahead and call it test.ts. I think it's just a, okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and show you, I'm going to copy some stuff from up here before. Okay, so you'll notice this is the next stuff. You need to import the next API request, next API response, and then this one already imports the Algo SDK. So, and then right here, you'll also see the default function that actually, let's see, gets, let's see, the hello. What does this even do? I don't even remember what this does. The hello. Let's see. I'm sorry. I always got to make it sure I know I can see what I'm doing here, because I also don't know Next very well. So I know that this is bringing in the request and the response. So this is part of the the routing system right here. If you even says right here next route support. So I do believe I need to export this default function, which is the handler, and this is all in. Also, this is TypeScript. This is not JavaScript. This is TypeScript. So that's why it works differently than the code that we see in the. If we go back to this guy, this right over here, if you notice the code right there on the right hand side that says, for example, it says const algo SDK and it requires, and so over here that's not what we're doing. On this side, I'm actually import, because that's TypeScript uses this import language instead. So you notice it's a little bit different already. So keep that in mind. But I'm gonna go back to over here, go back to this code, and let's check this out. So yeah, we need that, and we need this default. And then I believe over here, this is just code that I have done, that I've copied and pasted. It's part of, it's just, this is mostly the, you'll notice, oops, what did I do? This right here is the Algorand code, right? Here, this code that's already in this hello, I got it called hello, but it's really just, I should probably go to test, address. Let's go to address. Address does the same thing. It's an API route in the algo. You notice that? So it imports, again, the API request, the API response, and it reports algo D. And yeah, then it's got this. And you'll notice this right here is, you'll see that this type data, this is the data that it gets returned when you actually visit this route. And this route is called from the front, which is actually called from the gallery. And it pulls all it does is actually pull the information from the Troxel account and from the mainnet. If you know anything about the mainnet from the Algorand, right here, you've got your server, you got your port, And then you've got your key, and then here's the API token, and then right here we're making the call constant client, and you'll see we're making a new algo v2, which is doing the imported from algo SDK over here. And so it has these parameters that it needs. It's got the algod token, which is a secret password that I'm not going to show. That I get from this is actually gotten from, I use like I said, Pure Stake API. So they give me that token. The server is the if you'll notice, that's the mainnet server, and it's over there at the Pure Stake API. It's not you could be hosting your own server. If you're hosting your own node, you would use your own node. And of course, it uses the port, and I'm just using the default port, which is what is working from their servers over there. And then, of course, uh, it's going to go through, it's going to use an async function right here. You'll see the asynchronous function, and here's your function right here. And when you're doing this function, you're going to get an account info, and you're going to await. So you're going to get this client that is from the algo VD2 over here. You're going to get this comes with, and this is something we probably take a look at. Let's take a look at, you'll notice that when you import algo VD2, it brings in its own functions, and one of these functions is account information, and it takes as its parameter an address, and the address that we have is the query address. You'll notice right here, and this is more you'll see that the request, this is coming from up here, the request function, this comes in with the request from the query request. So when you make a call to this API route, you also got to include the query, which is the address. And the address comes in, and you'll see it. Here's the account information, address, due, and then it comes back and it gives you your account information. You notice it kicks back. So we're going to probably be referring to this address route so that we can create our test route later on if we ever need to do that. But this defines the route. You'll see what it does. You're exporting this handler route, and of course it comes with this request, the next API request, and the next API response. And the data right here, you put your data to be whatever you want it to be. And obviously I just put Algorand any, and I could potentially do that. That's part of TypeScript. And then, part of those are its parameters right here. And then the function itself of this default handler function is everything that you see here. And of course, in it has the asynchronous function that does the await. And of course, that's why you've got the catch and everything. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing here. But for right now, let's go back to this test. I'm going to get rid of hello. And we're going to go ahead and copy and paste a lot of this, of course. So let's go back up. And we're going to import this stuff. Let's go ahead and copy that. Put that. So now we've imported these, the next API, and then we're also going to take this portion where let's get the export default, all of this. And we're going to also put data of return any. So let's go ahead and get all of this copied and pasted. So this is just copied and pasted. I'm not going to be returning Algorand, but we'll leave it like that for right now. And we'll just close out this function right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back let's go back to this side by side, and we're going to copy and paste this code again. Remember, since I don't need this portion because I've already required it a different way, so I'm going to just take this function right here, and we're going to go back to this. You notice I don't need that because I got algod over here from algod SDK. And if you notice also right here, how do I turn it over? The only thing I got to do is change it into a client. You notice that right here on the left hand side. And so this on the left hand side, I guess that would be the same thing as, or that's kind of my that's kind of this thing right here. So it stores this variable from that particular module. But when you go back into the code, I'm gonna bring I do it over here and I put it as a client. I put client and I could put just Algo SDK just like this, but we're not gonna do that. I'm gonna stick with client. So let's get back right here. And so if you notice, this is inside of the export, right? Yeah, this can go back. So there's the export of the function handler. So outside of this, we're going to put this function right here. And we're going to say Algo SDK. Let's see. Algo SDK is going to be outside of this. We're going to put, let's go ahead and put it down here since we're not going to do that. We'll go, we'll actually, let's see. We'll put const algo. Well, I guess I will do algo SDK equals new, and then it's algo VD2, and then I got to put in all this information too. Remember, if you go back over here, I got to get all of this stuff. So I really got to put all of this, the same information right here. So I'm going to copy all this again. Get this. And so I have to access that server with that port. The key is in the environment file, so I have to import. Well, that's in the process. So let's go up here. And we're doing it all outside of the main function for right now. We'll just do it all right there. And that way it's just stored on the server outside of the default hunt. Let's see. Actually, you know what? Let's put it all in there. My bad. Let's just do it all inside of here. So now we've got this Algo SD, new Algo VD token. So this is all what you need to know how to connect to Algo. This is just this particular. You always need the server, a port, and a key. And then all you got to do is import your Algo SDK variable from your Algo VD2, which all you have to do, remember, if you just have to install with NPM. This is Node, so it's real easy to use NPM. You just install that. It's not too difficult. And so right here, we're going to go ahead and put in the Algo token, and then we're going to put in the server, and then the port, right? And so it's going to give me an error right here, but that's because it's not assignable to parameter type string, and it's all kind of that X API token is special. The X API key, that's because it is different than the standard Algo D. This is the one for the pure stake API. So that's why the header, that X API key header, gives me an error. So I'm not going to fix it. It will work just fine. And that is something that is only appearing because of TypeScript. With JavaScript, it wouldn't really appear. It wouldn't necessarily care. But the TypeScript right here is saying that, hey, it's supposed to be a string and you've given me an undefined. And it's undefined because it's from this process environment. So you see, so it's undefined because it hasn't called this folder or file. And I suppose maybe I could call the file in and do it some other way, but I'm going to just do it that way and it doesn't really matter. So now we got right here, let's see, Algo SDK. So let's see what happens here. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to go ahead and do the function. So if you notice, if we go to this test, now we got to go, let's go to this route. Let's go to this page now. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So now after we've gotten this code, we can simply go to this right over here, and we'll go to API test, right? And you'll notice that, nothing's really happening. Let's see what happens. Over here, we do see API resolved. Well, if we go back to over here, if we go back to the code, you'll notice down here, this is where the server is actually running. This is the terminal that it's running in. It says it resolved without sending a response. This may result in stalled requests. So you notice that this is part of this is knowing Next. So let's go back to, let's kind of understand what happened here with Next.js. So with Next.js, we have to send some sort of a response, and no response ever got sent. So let's go back to this address page, and let me show you where the response is right here. So you see in the asynchronous function, when we actually get the information from the client, and you'll see, notice that this client pops up. So when you actually try to grab, you need to do it asynchronously, and so you have to await that asynchronous function right there to come back with the information before you actually move on to the console log. But right here, it's got the rest.status 200.json, and then I've got the Algorand information. So what I'm going to do for right now, just to get this going, is this res comes from obviously this next API response, and it's saying it wants some data, and that data looks like Algorand any. And so right here, you'll see that when I send rest.status 200 JSON, and then I've got it Algorand, and I've got this account info right here, which is, this variable that had been saved earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to go ahead and copy and go back to this test file. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that right here too. But instead of account info, see, and if you notice, I got the same function right up here. I got the same type, which is data, and I'm calling it Algorand. I could change this to be anything I want it to be, but I'm going to keep it as Algorand, and then I'll change it later to explain what I'm talking about. So Algorand, but since I don't have an account info, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And since it can be any data type, I'm just going to go ahead and put a string and say, hello, this is a test. Okay, so now, last time when we went to this route, it stalled out on us. Remember, nothing was happening, and it's still stalled. Check it out. You'll notice that it's still trying to load. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of that, and I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time from the API. Let's go ahead and go API-test. But this time you'll notice we did not stall out. We sent a response. That response was a 200 response, and it had this Algorand, and this is what the API route actually returns. So this is what we could start working on. Now let's go ahead and see what happens over here. If you notice, going back to the code, let's go to the terminal. Excuse me. In the terminal, you'll see that everything's compiling, everything kind of goes. Right here, it said, this may result in stalled requests. So since then, we've compiled and it's built the page. You see right here, it even built this page API test. So that's great. Everything happened perfectly fine. So what do we need to do in order to get this generate Algorand key pair? So we want these console logs to happen. And when we go to the code, we can go to console. Nothing's console logging yet. Let's see what we can get to get coming out here. So we want this to work. We want to run this particular function. So you notice that this is a function that we're going to have to await for. So it's very similar. See this like client account information. We need this address and everything. And so it's in an asynchronous function where you can actually use this await. So, well, let's see. Let's actually see what happens, because I'm assuming this may not need to actually do that, because when you generate this account, yeah, it probably will. Let's see what happens if I don't do an await function in this. Let's just go ahead and before we do the response, this is where, we'll say right here, send, what are we sending? HTTP response. So that's the response. And before we send that response, let's go ahead and just generate Algorand key pair. And we'll just run that particular, we'll just run that function. So now let's go back to this and just refresh the page. Now we've got some errors. Let's see what happened here. Is not a function. So first off, we're getting that this Algo SDK generate account is not a function. So how can we do this? Let's go ahead and take this all out and just incorporate it. So we've copied and pasted this function, and you'll notice that this function must not have access entirely to this Algo SDK right here. So normally, I had told you on the other one, we had changed it to client. Let's go ahead and change it to client. And I'm going to see if that changes anything in particular. Uh, it doesn't. It still says that. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and we've got this and we're going to make it look more like the address. You probably couldn't even see what happened when I actually went to that page. So I better show that again. That's what happened when I went to the route. And you'll notice that, like I said, there's some strange going on. So this is the test code. And so I'm going to go ahead and just incorporate this test code to look more appropriate, because I am getting issues where apparently the code that should be there, the functions that should be on that client are not on that client for whatever reason. So we got to figure something out. So let's go back to the code, and right here we're back on this address. You'll see it's the address API route. And we're going to see, you notice how once again, we've got this asynchronous function where here we actually await the client account information. We've got an account right here. Did we do this right? Make sure we did all that right on this test. Let me make sure that we did. We did do this algo D token, server, port. Oh, look, there's a request for the query. But so yeah, we're going to do asynchronous function. So let's go back to our test. And after the client, because if you notice, it's after this client is created. So we can use that client. And so after this client, we're going to go ahead and do, how do we do this? We just do an asynchronous function. So it's an anonymous function. So it runs on its own right away. And we go async. And then we're going to put the arrows. And then we're going to put some of these, right? I forgot this part too. So let's do that. Make sure I get the function part. Asynchronous function. I did forget that. Okay. So now, if you notice that we have to generate this account, so we're going to have to we'll get this guy. And then if you notice, these are suddenly gone. I wonder why that's the case. See, that's interesting. I did some changes and suddenly it already knows that this client is not callable. What is going on here? No quick fixes. Are you missing a semicolon? Am I missing a semicolon? Should I put a semicolon? I guess. That fixed that line. But anyway, so let's go ahead and just kind of copy this. For some reason, it's still saying that these don't exist. Does not exist on type algo client. Algo D client. Okay, so you know what? Algo D client. Client probably has to do. Wow, I'm finding an issue already right off the bats that I might need to look into the Algorand API a little bit better. So this is not working as well as I thought it would work. This particular code is not fitting in. So this is the creation minute. This is how to standalone generate my passphrase. Okay. Well, let's go just to creation methods. Let's go to transactions. Well, let's go over here on this. Where were we? We were going to the, if I go to get details, if I go to, is it REST API IDs? Algo D version 2. No. It was a get started. Get details. I already forgot where I found it. Wow, I'm already stumped already tonight on what I'm doing here. It takes a lot of whenever you're doing this, you have to take a lot. I'm kind of confused myself as to why this isn't exactly showing. I guess I'm gonna, like I said, for some reason, when I get over here, this is my issue. For some reason, it says that this generate account is not part of this. So I guess what we could do, let's go ahead and get rid of all of this. Let's comment that out. Comment all of this out. Let's even comment all of this. And what I want to do right here is let's go ahead and console log hello. So all of that is good. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to do some debugging. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and put it right there. And what I like to do, the way I like to debug this is we're going to go to this run and debug, and we're going to do it off of just this particular, let's see, page. And I'm going to put this page, let me see, make sure I get this going. Okay. Get this guy and put this guy right in here. Hold on, doing some work. Oh, I can't because I'm using this already. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. You could just see on this side. Let's go to API test on the front end. And when I come there, let's see the debugging work when I'm doing this. Okay, what happened here? So, something did not pop up where I wanted it to pop up. Cannot read, reading name. Where pages is there some errors going on here? What could these errors be? Doesn't show in the front end, it only shows in the back end. Because what I'm trying to see is let's stop this. And we will, let me stop this whole localhost. Add configure NodeJS. Run script. Run current file. Run script dev. Okay, let's run script dev. Okay, that's not working. Sometimes you have issues with this too. So, and this has to do with the TypeScript, obviously. So sometimes I have success with it, and I'm not having success with it now. So I'm not entirely sure why we're having that. So I might actually have to get into reading the code. Okay, maybe that worked. Are you stopped somewhere? It has not showed me if it has stopped. I'm trying to get this, trying to get property ID of non-object. So this page is where book ID. Oh wow, it's doing some sort of a completely other. No wonder why it's doing a local host. That's not good. Let's see. No wonder why this is localhost 3000. That's interesting. Okay, I'm having issues where I've got local host issues and it's running off of a different application, and that's why I'm having issues with this. So I'm not gonna worry about that for right now. Okay, that sucks. All right, that's not cool. I'll have to figure out what that error is, but it's interacting with a different application that I'm already running on localhost, and so I was reading other things. So whatever, let's figure out that. Let's just do that anyway. We'll have the console log hello, and it's console log and hello. So let's just do it in the console log. We'll console log client. And so we'll console log client over here, make sure we got that up. And so when I go to back to the documents, which is, we'll look at this, we'll refresh this page and we'll come back to over here and you'll see it gives me a client. And so we do see that there's a client that works. So you'll see mainnet, hostnet. So all of this is working. So this client, for some reason, does not come back. It's coming back. If you'll notice, the client is coming back as right here. It's a client, but this client does not have this generate account. So I find that interesting. I'm not entirely sure what is going on here. So, yeah, so we got to figure out some other way. And I remember reading it, and I know I've made this work. So let's figure this out. We're gonna X out of this, and maybe it's in the SDK. Yeah, we'll go to JavaScript, your first transaction. So let's go back to this guy and see what we're coming across. What we're gonna be able to find if we can find anything. So this is just telling you how to do all that. So right here it tells you, see, so it's got when you require the Algo SDK, it says create account. And this is how it says. We could try this right here. In fact, let's try this guy. Let's copy and paste that and let's see what happens over here when we include this portion in our test. So we'll do that over here and we'll just go ahead and okay, so I'm actually thinking that this isn't going to work either, but we'll find out. We'll find out. We'll get that and we'll get all that to the side and we'll just copy and paste this. So, and right here you see we'll change this client. We'll change that to Algo SDK. See, but that doesn't work either. So it's got to be client. So maybe it's client.algo SDK that generate. Let's try that. I didn't think about that last time. Since it doesn't, and maybe it should be Algo V2. Could be Algo V2. Let's try client. So this is going to give me an error too, though. Let's go ahead and see what happens here. So we're going to refresh this page. And when I check this out, so constant create account. So that's just a function that brings that. And then we just do create account. And then let's see what happens. Let's try that again. Refreshing. And I'm going to go back to this page. And we are having an unexpected token. Generate account. So you'll notice that I'm not having access. So let's go back to this. I know I figured this out at one point before. So how did I account information? Wait. So you see over here on this particular page, this client does have account information. And if I go back to the test, you'll remember up here, let's see, do we get the it's an AlgoD client. You'll see that it's the AlgoD client that I'm actually getting. So there is an issue here that I'm not using the right object. So what is this problem that I'm having? That means that this is not coming in the right way. So AlgoD v2, and so this client should be bringing in this Algo SDK. Well, I am stumped in this particular evening. It is Sunday night, and I am doing this all live, trying to figure this out. So I guess this is something that I'll probably look into off camera to figure out what's going on, and I'll just continue on forward next time with this particular making this code work. But I am having some issues here trying to find out why this doesn't work. So I was having some issues with my debug because I've got a different uh, app running in the background on the local host that this was pulling up. So that's not working for me at the moment without also giving it some more configuration. And yeah, this is how things go a lot as a developer anyway. So all right, anyway, I'm gonna call it good night. So if you're watching this, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll go ahead and work our way through this next time. And yeah, I'll see you later. Thank you. Good night.